I'd like to talk to you about two extraordinary creatures that live on that planet. The first thing I want to talk about is really the environment of the sea. Ever since I was a tiny little kid, I've always loved it and always been fascinated by it and wanted to be in it, on it, or under it. And why wouldn't you? Because the average depth of the ocean is 2.5 miles. If you removed all the landmass from the Earth, the sea would still cover the whole planet in a film 1.5 miles deep. If you dropped Mount Everest into the deepest point of the sea, there'd still be 1 mile between the summit and the surface. And we've explored 5% of it. It's the last great frontier. But every kid needs a little spark, needs something to set you on your way, essentially. And for me, it was this guy. As a little kid in the 70s, he appeared on my television screen. He lit the blue touch paper for me and made me realize that I could go out and explore this environment. He was essentially a gladiator in a red bobble hat. He was a legionnaire in a pair of swimming trunks. He was a Gaulois smoking hero. He was Cousteau, and he set me on my way. And very fortunately, I've managed to make a career of leading groups of people and being parts of teams that have gone around the world to all sorts of extraordinary environments. And it's fantastic and gratifying work, and terrestrial environments as well. And working with conservationists, working with film crews, working with scientific groups. And unbeknownst to me, I wasn't just studying the environments and the animals, I was also studying the teams as well, because it's very stressful being in a lot of these environments. And I was actually becoming an apprentice of people, an apprentice of us as an animal and the way we behave when we're put under stress. And inevitably, I ended up in the marine environment. It had always been my passion, as I said, and coming face to face with all sorts of large, charismatic creatures. This is a giant ocean sunfish. It's the largest bony fish on Earth. It weighs 2 tons. It can produce 300 million eggs, more than any other vertebrate on the planet. Its larvae, if they grow to the size of a full-size sunfish, it's the equivalent of a human baby growing to the size of 6 Titanics. And we know nothing about this animal. 5% of this environment we've explored. So let's talk about the most incredible predator in this environment. Let's talk about something that sits unchallenged on top of the feeding and predatory apex. I'm talking, of course, about us. We have entered this environment. Our generation, my generation, is the first to really explore the sea. It's the first to use the sea for our recreation. And essentially, a lot of people are going into the sea at the moment. So what is that animal that's entering this realm? Who are we? Who are you? You are the greatest predatory animal that has ever walked planet Earth. Look at the person sitting next to you now. You're looking at the greatest hunting animal that has ever existed. 4 to 6 million years ago, when our ancestors' knuckles left the ground and they stood up, we became bipedal. We became the greatest running animal on Earth. And Chris McDougall wrote a brilliant book about this called Born to Run. You can run down any animal on the planet. And until the bow and arrow was invented about 60,000 years ago, when you ran it down, you beat it to death with your bare hands. The person next to you can beat a bison to death with their bare hands, having run it down over several days. And 12,000 years ago, pretty much the whole human race were hunter-gatherers. And your physiology and your instincts are based on that animal. You, above all other things, are a hunter. And you can dominate pretty much any other animal on Earth. So that's the thing that's entering the marine environment. So let's have a look at sharks. Sharks, there's about 500 species of shark, but we learn all the time about this animal. And in 2012, a study at the College of Charleston in South Carolina discovered 79 new species of shark. Now, it's at a cryptic level, what we call a cryptic level, which basically means it's in the DNA, but they're subspecies. So it's just showing that despite the fact they've been around 400 million years, which is considerably older than the dinosaurs have been around a mere 240 million years, we learn about these animals all the time. Their adaptations are absolutely outstanding. Why would they change? They've got no need to change. They're covered in body armor. Their skin is covered in teeth, in denticles, which flex in hydrodynamic perfection as they move through the sea. They have 6 senses, not 5. And the names of those senses are wonderful. They have the ampullae of Lorenzini in the nose, which can pick up electric currents of their prey items. So even if they can't see them, they can sense that they're there. A remarkable animal, a remarkable predator that's pretty much dominated that marine ecosystem. Modern sharks appeared about 100 million years ago, for 100 million years or so. And then about 30 or 40 years ago, we appeared. So what happens when one magnificent predator encounters another, comes face to face with it? Now, this photograph was taken as I rolled off a boat in South Africa. And I just righted myself, looked up, and that's what I saw. And you'll forgive me if the photograph's slightly out of focus, but I had other things on my mind as I took it. And let me tell you that reaction is primal, utterly primal. That strand of ancient DNA within you comes thrillingly alive. You know you're faced with a predator, potentially something that can remove you from the gene pool very effectively, and you respond in a very primal way. We fear sharks. And in a way, we love sharks as well. You see antelope following cheetah on the African plains, and the reason they do that is knowledge. They want knowledge, because knowledge means survival. If you understand your predator, it gives you a better chance of survival. And that's the reason we're passionate about sharks. We want knowledge about sharks, and none more so than this animal here, the great white, the poster boy of the shark world. And we only filmed this animal for the first time underwater in 1965. Before that point, and indeed since that point, it's been shrouded in myth and legend. And it sort of doesn't do itself any favors because of the way it looks, quite frankly. It's a child's nightmare version of a shark. Those incredibly impressive jaws. In fact, when Jaws came out in 1975, it scarred an entire generation psychologically. This animal's on the wrong end of a 4 million year bad PR campaign, and then Jaws comes out. It can open those jaws to 150 degrees. We can only open our jaws to 45 degrees. It's got a bite pressure of 23 tons per square inch. Ours is 1.7 tons per square inch. It's an incredibly impressive animal. And whenever I show people this particular photograph, the red bits you can see are what's called the hyomandibular arch. It's just cartilage. It's like shock absorbers for the jaws. But the moment I show people that photograph, they always assume the red bits are the remains of puppies and kittens and nuns and orphans, because that's all that great whites eat, according to our media. And just to show that anyone can react in a bad way to sharks, and that primal reaction, this is a project I did on the Great Barrier Reef with some very good scientists and fantastic cameramen, world-class wildlife cameramen. And essentially, this was a place called Rain Island. There's 26,000 green turtles on Rain Island. It's the largest green turtle rookery on the planet. And at certain times of the year when they breed, they come ashore to breed and then they go back into the water. But the snag of green turtle faces, it comes in its own serving suggestion. It is essentially a boil-in-the-bag animal. And if it gets caught in the sun, marine reptile can't thermoregulate, and it'll die. And a lot of green turtles, that's a dead one actually, die right on the edge of the shore, and the tide comes in and lifts the bodies out. And circling that island are more tiger sharks than pretty much anywhere else on Earth at that time of year. How do they get there? We don't know. We don't understand. They come from hundreds, thousands of miles away. We think they're navigating using the geomagnetic fields of the planet Earth. We decided to go out and try and film one of these turtle carcasses with tiger sharks around it in an inflatable boat, a not insignificant part of the story I'm about to tell you. And Julie filmed them. Now, sharks are intelligent animals. Their brain to body weight ratio is better than that of birds and bony fish, which I have to admit isn't the strongest intellectual competition. But nonetheless, they're intelligent animals. We're just learning about the way they operate. If you're an intelligent animal and you're eating a suppurating green turtle carcass that's been in the sun for several days, are you going to eat that? Or are you going to turn your attention to 4 delicious wildlife cameramen smothered in coconut suntan oil, sitting essentially on an inflatable boat about 2 yards away? And one of the tiger sharks bit the front of the boat. And that's the photograph taken by the cameraman as it happened. And I asked him afterwards, very experienced cameraman, I said to him, how did you feel when that shot was taken, when you took it? And he said, mate, if I'd had a lump of coal held between my butt cheeks when I took that photograph, right now I'd be in possession of the largest diamond on earth. So he was really quite frightened. So let's see where perception meets reality. Now, I've done the best I can with the statistics I'm about to show you. I've gone to the Office of Statistics in the UK, CDC in America, and I'm comparing it to the International Shark Attack Files, statistics on shark attacks. How likely are you to be taken by a shark in your lifetime? Okay, so you're snorkeling, and you look down and you see that exquisite shape beneath you. If it was a hippo, you'd be 290 times more likely to die. In your lifetime, you're 290 times more likely to be killed by a hippo. If it was a croc, you'd be 72 times more likely to die. In your lifetime, 72 more chances of being taken by a crocodile than there are by a shark. If you glanced down and you were snorkeling and you saw a cow, you'd be very surprised. But in your lifetime, you're 40 times more likely to be killed by a cow than you are by a shark. So what I recommend is just don't go out. Stay at home and make some toast. You're 20 times more likely to be killed making toast in your lifetime than you are by a shark. Particularly if you're left-handed, by the way. You're 250 times more likely to die as a left-hander using right-handed equipment for things than you are to be killed by a shark. So look, just don't go into the sea. Just stay on the shore. You're 1.3 times more likely to be killed after you dig a hole on the beach, get in it, and the sand falls in on you than you are by a shark. So what I'd say to you, just stay in the mall. Just stay in the mall. Don't go anywhere near the shore. Plainly, it's dangerous down there. You're 1.3 times more likely to be killed by a vending machine when you kick it and it falls on you than you are by a shark anywhere around the world. So do you know what? Stay in bed. Stay in bed. Don't even get out of bed. You're 45 times more likely to be killed in bed by falling out of bed. 45 times more people are killed falling out of bed around the world than are killed by sharks every year. So do you know what? Stay in the bath. You're twice as likely to drown in the bath during the course of your life than you are to be killed by a shark. And when new people come into shark science, we say to them, if you want to avoid a shark attack, go and sit under a tree. And you're 8 times more likely to be killed sitting under a tree than you are by a shark. It's so infinitesimal, it's ridiculous. But we have built it up. The media has built it up as a genuine threat. The hunter-gatherer in you, the primal person, has built it up as a genuine threat. The other way around, sadly, it doesn't work quite as well. We are decimating the shark. My generation has destroyed the shark. Most of this has happened in the last 30 years or so. Now, the estimates vary. Very difficult to get very accurate information, but minimum 40 million sharks a year, maximum 100 million sharks a year. This is a slow-growing predator, classic predatory reproductive strategy. It matures late and produces very few offspring. So it doesn't handle being removed on a large scale well at all. It does not recover. So let's take a middle figure, 70 million sharks a year being taken out of the ocean. That's what's happening right now. That's 133 a minute. During the course of this 18-minute talk, 2,300 sharks will be killed. And they're being killed for their fins. Essentially, they're being turned into soup, shark's fin soup. Now, we tend to think of this as a Far Eastern problem. It certainly isn't. The largest supplier of fins to that market is the EU, the European Union. So it's a problem that's happening right now, and I can't help thinking that future generations will look back on my generation and say, how could you have let that happen? The same way we look back on the buffalo of the American plains that were utterly decimated and say, that could never happen nowadays. It's happening right now on an industrial scale. It is Armageddon. It's the fastest eradication of a large predator in mankind's history. And it's going on right now. And we've got no idea what the knock-on effect is going to be of removing this key animal from the marine ecosystem. An example is the oceanic white-tip, one of the most exquisitely beautiful of all sharks. It used to be one of the most abundant large predators on planet Earth. And in the Gulf of Mexico alone, their numbers are down in the last 30 years by 99.3% from what they were. And the IUCN put together a specialist shark group, 140 scientists from 30 countries around the world. And their findings showed that 25% of all shark species were in real danger of extinction. 50% of all sharks are pretty much gone now. It's all happened. For an animal that's been around 400 million years, it's all happened in the last 30 years. But there's another side that's emerging, and that's a positive side. Suddenly, not my generation, your generation, is realizing the beauty and grandeur of this animal and how important it is in the food chain. And they're disabusing myths and coming face to face with a shark in its own environment and realizing what an extraordinary, poetically magnificent animal this actually is. And for me, that's a positive sign because for me, there's another marine creature that's dominating my life for the next few years. There's another thing I've discovered, a marine animal that I know will be hugely significant for me. And I talk about all these global things, but for me, this one animal is the one that counts, and there it is. That's my daughter, Isla. And I want Isla to swim in seas where there are sharks. And I actually have huge faith in you, the next generation. Because I think you're a more environmentally aware generation than has ever lived before. You wield greater power than any generation of young people that has ever existed before because of social media. You can move mountains. You can turn the tide. You have immense will and immense power and immense understanding of what's going on the planet that you're inheriting from us. So I am optimistic. And I hope that when we've handed over what we've handed over to you, you can look at it and say, there is still a chance for us to share our pale blue dot with this extraordinary animal. So thank you.